With the Road America 500 behind us, it's back to the traditional format for Camel. But with a technical track like VIR, it's going to be a tough one when dealing with traffic. Will it go back to business as usual, or are we in for more surprises? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch Round 6 of the Kamel GT Series, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Adam Lindgren. Behind the scenes is our director, Robert O'Brien, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. VIR has gotten a refresh on iRacing lately. Let's step in for a closer look at the track. Welcome to Virginia International Raceway. Only a short trip away from the state's border with North Carolina, this track has had the rare blessing of being resurrected from the dead. After closing for a quarter century, once it was rebuilt, it quickly began to draw major sports car series to its halls. The new owners didn't skimp on refurbishing the place either. An impressive 5 versions are available on iRacing with a range between 1 and 4 miles in length between them. With that much pavement, the plethora of corners have earned some colorful nicknames. The horseshoe kicks things off right away with a never-ending double apexer that tends to suck the greedy out into its runoff. Later on, the climbing S's force you to thread the needle before spinning you out into the steep drop at South Bend. Then, of course, there's Oak Tree, which sadly no longer sees its namesake landmark on the inside of the turn, but still retains its frustrating difficulty. Let's not forget one of the scariest obstacles at the end of the lap, the roller coaster. The incredible speed drivers carry up into this blind braking zone is what causes it to require such immense bravery to get the most out of the lap. While passing can be tricky here, the long backstretch nicknamed Madison Avenue and the lengthy front stretch do tend to offer enough of a draft that you can still give a go at a pass. Still, track position is usually an important factor in most races. With the picturesque backdrop of the Appalachians around them, fans are not left wanting when they come to watch drivers face off at this historic track. It's no wonder the circuit has found success in its second chance at life.
Whereas those simple, very same jumps and dips lead to challenges for the Nissans. You need either way too much downforce for the Nissan or a feather touch with your right foot to keep that GTP glued to the track as the car gets light and the rear tires attempt to break grip over the crests. Multiclass here is terrifying with the Nissans having a 10-second delta over the Audis, but there's quite a few places to pass on the long straights and across the start-finish line and after Oak Tree. Everywhere else, though, is a danger zone where the Nissans will need to be patient with the Audis, waiting to pass to the inside on corner exits, as the Audis will, as usual, need all of the road to survive. While this may not be a straight circuit show, VIR will require these drivers to perform with straight circuit-like precision today.
Yep, I have no doubt that this is going to be one that requires them to be on their game, no doubt, as we're going to be heading over to coverage of the qualifying in a second. But we're going to check out the championship up first here. And at the top of them, Heitor Sintez Galindo currently leading by a pretty significant margin. He's had a lot of drivers who have been not very consistent, whereas he has. So he's kind of stepped up to the plate, which is a strength he's known for. So we'll see if he can hold out for the entirety of the season, because this will mark halfway, and then everybody else will likely start to creep forward if they can maybe claw some of those points back with some big wins. But it's still a win's worth away from Michael DeTurk back there. Meanwhile, we have the GTO Championship as well. Let's look at that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hugh Haycock's his transfer to the GTO this season has been met with success, with the struggling Yuko Leskala falling back to third. Ove Trangrade is only about 1 point behind of Hugh Haycock's at the moment. So Hugh in a really good position at the moment. Ian Haycock's down there in fourth with Vili Rolla close together, and then it's tied for fifth between Rolla and Del Olmo, as well as Arturas Kundalis. And then we've got a tie for eighth position from Doug Cloud, David Spigot, and Vaughn.
Then, of course, we have today's race details. As we said, it's back to the traditional style with only 40 minutes. It's going to be open setup, and you already heard Adam talk about the challenges, especially in the Nissans, trying to figure out how you want to get this one set up. No spare car. Now, they do have these wide open, grassy runoff areas, but you could still slide a long time and wind up hitting the wall. And then on top of that, wind up hitting another car, too. And there are some dangerous spots, such as out of South Bend and into Oak Tree, that you can wind up hitting the wall quite easily. Stop and go penalty, and looks like, apologies, we haven't changed that since last race. That's not 50 incidents. It's 17 and 25 like we normally have here in the Kamel GT series, so you can disregard the bottom of that graphic. But looks like we're still waiting on the first drivers to cross the line.
Absolutely, and we've got quite a few drivers here, and it's a stacked field. The Road America 500 has reminded people how much they enjoy this series, so it's great to see them. Taking a look right now at Ian Haycock's father of Hugh, currently driving with his setup. He's only got one leg at this point, involved in a motorcycle crash last year that took his right leg. He uses a thumb control on the steering wheel to modulate the throttle, and then the brake and clutch are done by his left leg. So Ian Haycock's coming down that long straight after Oak Tree, sweeping into this roller coaster final section, which is a challenge in the Audi, but still a blast.
Looks like our first few times are in, and Farron Grau has the provisional pole over Sintez Galindo. Elliott Fry, have we had that name in here before? He's up to P2. He's still half a second off of Farron Grau, but the 38 clearly has some good pace in him. Usually that number is indicative of their I rating. If he's got the 38, then he's got a pretty low I rating. That's granted in the top split, yet he has a lot of speed underneath him. So some fascinating stuff as we watch Fry come through the snake, under the bridge, and into the climbing S's. Vili Rolla returns once again, and he puts it on provisional pole in the GTOs.
Yeah, Vili Rolla back again. We've got Noel Lundberg, who's in there in second position, with JD Rodriguez in third. So quite a few names that we saw last week at the Road America 500, but have not seen a lot of over the course of the broadcast races. So this is going to make an interesting battle for the Kamel regulars in and amongst these high I-rated visitors.
Absolutely. Glad to see that it has bumped up as high as it has with the recent attention this series has been getting. Lundberg in second, coming around up into Oak Tree. Going to be tough to try to get the car to turn and break into here. And as he tries to accelerate off the corner, really needs it down the long back stretch. So far, I'm seeing him on an improvement from his last lap. And Elliott Fry just jumped up into P2 ahead of Sintez Galindo with a 30.4.
Good drive for him to get up to third position. Farron Grau still, though, with the provisional pole by nearly 4/10 over Elliott Fry, as you said. Vili Rolla holding just under a tenth over Ove Trengrade, but Yuko Leskala has yet to set his marked qualifying time. Yuko is coming through the final sector now on his first flying lap. He will have another chance to set his second flying lap. He has enough time to do so, but Noel Lundberg coming across the line, only good enough for fifth fastest right now. Some of the Kamel regulars starting to put in decent times, but Yuko Leskala crossing the line, and Leskala is going to set... it doesn't look like his time... There we go. Nope. He jumps into second position.
Yep. So he got a 44.5. That is about a tenth away from Vili Rolla. Ove Trengrade another tenth and a half behind him, but it looks like Trengrade just abandoned his second lap, so he's not going to take part in that one. Waiting for a couple of our GTPs to set a time here. We need Fonseca and Tilly, Clapper, Alvarez, Krejcik, and Molitor, but I don't see Clapper or Tilly out there. So I suspect they're going to be starting from the back of the field. We continue to watch Yuko Leskala on the second time around. So far, I'm not seeing him tracking as going faster this lap. As he crests over South Bend. It's now coming down to about 1/10 below, so he is picking up the pace here a little later in the lap as he's stronger on the second half. Now 3/10 down. This is looking very good that the number one could potentially take the pole away here. It does not give you any bonus points, but it does give you track position, which, as we've seen, can often be quite important in Kamel to just get yourself a buffer as he gets ready to break down into the roller coaster. And it looks like, unfortunately, he must have had a bad exit off of Oak Tree, Adam, because now I see him tracking at 6/10 slow.
Yeah, we'll see how this goes for him. He's going to need to pull out about a quarter second in order to make his way up to the front row next to Billy Rollo, possible to possibly take it. He's tracking good for a good time, cuts the corner as sharp as he can, and ooh, that is an improvement. That puts him on pole position.
So my timing and scoring lies to me yet again. He is half a second up over Rolla. That is no mean feat. That's difficult to achieve. And that's pretty much all of our drivers done here in qualifying. So your starting order sees Niels van Handel on the pole position over Farron Grau. Took that away when we weren't looking. Elliot Fry is going to start from third, and Aitor Sintez Galindo, our points leader, will start from P4. Aaron Humphrey will be P5, and then Brian Molitor in the sixth position. After that, it's Seamus Power starting P7. Fabian Jungbluth will be P8, and Jack David Spickett starts from ninth. Andrew Mitty will be P10, Brandon Lim in 11th, and Martin Krejcik only able to manage 12th today. Hamilton Ruiz starts from the 13th spot. Jorge Gonzaga will be in 14th, Pablo Suarez 15th, and last one to set a time was Scott Lear in 16th. Alvarez, Clapper, and Tilly Fonseca will start from the back of the prototype field.
And then we have all of the Audis managed to set a time today, with Yuko Leskala taking pole position over Vili Rolla in his final moments of the qualifying session. Ove Trangrade starts behind him next to Noel Lundberg. We got Andreas Schuster starting off in the fifth position with Sebastian Tixier in the sixth spot. Ian Haycock starting off seventh with JD Rodriguez next to him. Joram Van Hixie and Linus Petkavicius is going to round out your top 10 with Javier Del Olmo starting in 11th position. John Goval is going to start off in 12th with Josh Brain in 13th. Dan Fresh in the 14th position. And then we've got Arturas Kundelis back in 15th. Not a good qualifying for him today at VIR. They've got Sam Karasala in 16th with Isaac Snyder back in 17th. Joining us in the Audi today, James Hamill Smith in the 18th position with James Carr in 19th, Daniel Rapetto in 20th position, and Doug Cloud starts off in the 21st spot, rounding out your 21 Audis, your 20 Nissans for the 41 cars joining us today.
With it being a bit early in the morning here, it's only 74 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface, 8:30 a.m. right now that they are going to do this race. So expect it to maybe heat up over time. It's only 40 minutes, though, so it's not going to be that long that we will see drastic changes, most likely, as they take off out of the pit lane. I know you were kind of noting how much talent is here in the GTOs today, but it looks like a significant name we're missing is Hugh Haycox.
Yeah, Hugh Haycock's not showing up for the Audis today, unfortunately, so that's going to be a huge benefit to Yuko Leskala, who's already burnt his two drop weeks with zeros. He's did not finish two of the races and didn't have a great time at the Road America 500 either. So Yuko Leskala looking to claw back some of those points back from Hugh Haycox. Yuko has been our reigning champion for about 3 seasons now, ever since Phil Lake decided to step away. And so it's a good opportunity for Yuko to claw some of those points back.
Absolutely. So the question is, can he manage to stay away from some of that bad luck and put one over on Vili Rolla as they come around here into the left hook? They're just behind the GTPs. You can see they give a bit of a gap between the two classes for the start to make sure that everybody kind of has time to get settled in without running into problems if that class ahead has some sort of wreck there at the beginning of the race. And then we will climb up through the appropriately named climbing S's until they hit South Bend. This is, as we said, top split out of 2 here today. So this is a very stacked field. It was 3,000 plus SOF, strength of field. That's your average iRating for these drivers.
Yeah, 3.7 is what I'm reading in my timing and scoring. So that's a very stacked top split for sure. And with 41 cars in this split, 82 cars total registering for this race, Road America 500 leaving a good impression on the drivers, and lots of people falling in love with this car over those 4 hours.
Yeah, certainly seems to be the case as we now come along Madison Avenue. Longest straight actually of the lap that you've got around here. I expect we'll see some attempted passes, but as we usually tend to witness, Adam, it's a bit sketchy trying to take it too wide into the roller coaster.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of those fascinating straights that ends with a downhill arcing turn, and especially in the Audis, it's not really possible to take it too wide into a roller coaster unless you have balls of steel or you really trust the person next to you to back off and give you that position. But, you know, as sketchy as it is, I think we're going to see people make that attempt, especially the Nissans trying to get around Audis, because if they have to follow the Audis into the roller coaster section, they're going to lose 2 to 3 seconds.
Indeed. So here on board now with Niels Van Handel. And as we come off board, dipping down there, you can see the big elevation change. And it will continue to drop all the way down until they get to Hogpen. Very difficult right-hander. You can see that little kink here to the left that leads into it before it sweeps back to the right, and then it's uphill to the start-finish line. Porsche pace car getting ready to peel in. There it goes. As we wait for the green, Handel has control. He's waiting, and now he's on it. Van Handel takes the green flag as we go racing here at VIR for the Kamel GT Series, and the front group gets single file extremely quickly, but there's a little bit of a look down to the inside from Grau and Fry, neither able to take the position behind them. It looks nice and smooth there for the back of the pack. Let's go to the GTOs.
Billy Rolla tried to make a move on Ukulescula around the the right hand kink on the start finish straight. That never works out. He's dropped all the way back into into 5th position now, 6th position, as Ukulescula leads them over Trangrade and Noel Lundberg. Looks like a pretty clean start for the Audis all told, aside from rolls off.
Wow, he's really lucky that he was able to keep that car going as quick as it did and not run into issues, because there can be bumps there out in the grass that can really take you out. Let's take a look at the replay on that start and see what exactly happened here. There's that run to the outside.
Yeah.
Yep, just didn't have grip in the tires yet.
He chose the wrong moment to do it. The Audi needs as much turn as you can give it through that kink. I just don't think he anticipated the kink coming. It's really fortunate that he was able to blow through those Michelin signs and the 200 meter marker and get back on the track.
Yeah, I mean, he's lucky that iRacing has not mimicked styrofoam boards hitting the car, because they can do some damage if you plow into those. So at least in real life, is now we've had a problem with Ove Trangrade coming onto the backstretch. This is our leaders in the GTPs finishing lap 1. Van Handel over Grau by about 2 seconds already.
Yeah, it was a slowdown for Ove Trangrade. He was 3rd, and the GTOs drops back to 7th. But the lead of the GTPs, Van Handel, as you said, out to that 2-second lead, but Farron Grau under heavy pressure from Elliott Fry, Aitor Sintes Galindo, and it's pretty much a train all the way back from Farron Grau back to Carlos Fonseca in 20th.
Now, if Grau can't get the win, this is still going to be good for him, because he's ahead of Sintes Galindo. He wants to hold on to that. Sintes Galindo's leading the points, but Grau's back in 3rd, trailing by 36 points. So he needs everything he can get from here. We're on board with our points leader, just behind Elliott Fry. So this is a battle for the last step on the podium in the GTPs.
Absolutely. Sintes Galindo looking on up towards Fry and Grau. Oh, that was a sketchy moment for Fry coming down the hill. And it looks like Aaron Humphrey's gone off in the background.
Yep, he's found the barrier. He's going to get it turned around. Usually you don't have small hits there, because it's quite a high-speed crest. Let's see what it looks like from on board.
Yeah, absolutely. So he comes around the corner. He just gets his tires in the outside grass there, and unfortunately, the cars are not yet warmed up. I know it's surprising, but the tires need about 3 laps to warm up fully in these GTPs.
That sends him to the back of the prototype field. Back to Fry now, as it looks. Oh, Sentes Galindo's gotten by him. Oh, a little bit of an off there for Elliott, but he keeps it together.
Absolutely not allow Sentes Galindo to go ahead of him again. So Fry is going to have to make the pass one more time as Niels van Handel makes yet another fastest lap.
Oh, Fry was ahead of him. Sentes Galindo made the pass on the backstretch, just using that slipstream to be able to sneak by. So nicely done by him. Although Fry is currently having some connection issues. He just disappeared on us briefly. Behind them, nice battle. This looks to be between Molitor, Power, and Jungbluth.
Absolutely good battles all over the track right now as these cars the classes have yet to combine. It's going to be another 4 or 5 laps before we see the GTP come through the GTOs. I think they might only make it through them 1, maybe 2 times over the course of this race. But here's Villarola trying to make some moves on Ove Trangrade.
Trangrade on the attack here out of Hogpen, but he didn't quite have enough speed. I wonder if Rolla was just a little bit slow. He's still on a recovery drive, doing an impressive job considering he's already back up into P5. We're going to ride on board with the Norwegian as he follows the Finn through some of the twistier parts of this circuit.
Yeah, the unfortunate truth, though, is that the Jukka Leskola already out to 2.5-second lead over Noel Lundberg. So Lundberg, unfortunately, not able to put the challenge to Jukka Leskola, but Rolla trying to claw his way forward, and he's got 3 cars in his sights, as you said, Rodriguez, Tixier, and Lundberg for that second position.
And this is going to be an important period of the race as well, Adam, because they don't have the traffic coming up on them yet. As soon as that happens, that's just an extra bit of complication.
Yeah, absolutely. The traffic becomes a real complication around here at VIR, and the Nissans are going to be very desperate to get through the packed-up Audis as they come through. Like I said, it's going to be about another 3 to 4 laps before the Nissans come through the Audis, and when they do so, it's really going to break up a lot of these battles. But look at this. I believe that's Sebastian Tixier JD Rodriguez and Sebastian Tixier trying to make a challenge there.
Yeah, Tixier is over here to try his hand once again and behind them, I think Ove Trangrade just went off and gave up a couple spots there at the roller coaster. So he falls to 7th. But I was going to say Tixier comes over from the Lotus 49s after being lured in by the Road America 500 and didn't have the greatest of races there, but seems to be holding things down pretty nicely with a potential podium today.
Yeah, nice little cover there from Tixier, moving to the center of the track, signifying to JD Rodriguez, hey, I'm not going to be very happy if you try to make a dive here. I'm going to try and block you, so you might want to reconsider. Rodriguez does not make that move, but they've got to get past Lundberg, because Lundberg's holding them up at this point, and Rolla's coming with a head of steam.
Indeed. So we look back here from Noel Lundberg on the number 10. Once again, this is one of those parts that is pretty single file here through the snake with the way it weaves back and forth, and behind them, apparently not single file enough for Rolla as he got by Rodriguez there. I think that was JD. I don't think he actually made a pass from attempting to get side by side. I think this is more Rodriguez having an issue. Let's take a closer look here.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, it was JD Rodriguez just clips the left-hand curb right here and gets onto the grass. And then once you do that, it's really hard to get the car back under control. Look at how much it hooks. He almost hooked into the barrier there. A good job from JD Rodriguez to hang on to that thing and get back on track. I can also report that the lead has changed hands. Niels van Handel, unfortunately, has had an off, and Farron Grau has now taken the lead. Van Handel, no damage, but he's back to 4th.
That happened down into the horseshoe, just straight up out-braked himself. Driver error, unfortunately, for the number 2. Let's take a look at it. Yeah, just a little wide, and once you're out in that grass, it leans away from the track. It's hard to get it back on.
Oh, that was close from Heitor Sentes Galindo. So, yeah, Niels van Handel, this is such a hard place to have an off like that because it keeps arcing away from you. This is why I talked about needing street track precision, because it's really challenging to try and recover from something like this. It takes so many seconds away from you, and Van Handel's still dealing with hot tires on track as we watch the replay of him trying to recover this thing.
Yeah, he's down to fourth. Fry managed to get by him as well. And they are now hitting the back of the GTO traffic. That's going to be the car of Jamie Hamill-Smith, who must have had some sort of issue. Usually he's not this far back. Not sure what happened to him. We'll try and dig that up, as now we've got some smoke out on the circuit. I'm not sure from what. Whoa! A contact between Elliott Fry and Niels Van Handel coming off of the horseshoe. How did that happen?
Fry spun up the rear tires coming off the horseshoe, and Van Handel tried to go to the inside, but that's the direction that Fry was going. Let's take a look at this again. Fry, tucked up under the rear wing of Aitor Sentes Galindo, backs off a little bit and tries to get a run. Unfortunately, spins the rear tires, and whammo, into the side of him goes Niels Van Handel.
And Elliott Fry has just parked it. He must have had too much damage on the car after that one. Oh, no, he's still out there. Excuse me. He lost his internet connection again. I thought for a second that he had intentionally set the car aside and decided it's not worth carrying on, but that is not the case. And he's chasing on Fabian Jungwirth.
And the leaders of the GTPs are now in and amongst the back markers of the GTOs right now, and this is going to cause some chaos. Farron Grau and Aitor Sentes Galindo. Aitor's going to have to take the dive here if he wants to hang on to Grau, and he does.
Yeah, this is going to be important. And we've seen this between these teammates before. This is interesting. Now, typically, Grau tends to play wingman to Sentes Galindo to try and help him out. So at this point, with him trying to catch him in the points, and there's still half a season left, and Grau's now a regular, does he hold him off, or will he give way if Aitor gets a good run?
Multi-21, Seb? It's going to be an interesting moment for sure to see how these two teammates, who are usually working so well together, navigate through this traffic and navigate through this race. I think it's going to come down to a last lap decision, because traffic giveth, the traffic taketh away. Both of these guys have to work hard to make it through this traffic, retaining the lead of this race before they can start bartering about who's going to win.
Well, newcomer Elliott Fry has retired the car now officially. He is done. So that is it for him. The 7 taking it right out to the edge. Yes, they widened that track, but only in so many places.
We got a big wreck going on right now. This is just after the horseshoe coming. Oh, it's many cars involved, and this has been going on for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, Suarez involved. Petkavicius, unfortunately, became a part of it. It just it's one of those things where it looks like it just trickled down through the field.
Yeah, it starts with Petkavicius getting into the side of Antonio Alvarez, and then everyone tries to get back on track, and a lot of unsafe rejoins led to a lot of collisions. Here we go with the initial contact. Alvarez to the inside of Petkavicius. Petkavicius goes for the apex, and there's the contact.
Yeah, he saw the first GTP, didn't expect the second one, and the car already moving, so I don't know if it's really a rejoin so much. He's trying to collect it there, was Petkavicius, and it eventually caught out another of the GTPs. That's Suarez that we mentioned earlier, that was the next one in line getting involved. He keeps going, though. He's in 17th, but we've lost Humphrey, we've lost Fry, and Petkavicius, who you can see on the replay a little bit of the netcode, and 2 other cars in front of him of Suarez. I think that was Alvarez and Mitty maybe that had problems.
Yeah. So just a lot of cars involved with a little bit of sloppy driving there. Speaking of sloppy driving, Brian Molitor off track. Niels Van Handel to the inside. Brian just passed Niels Van Handel for third position coming down the front straightaway. I can report JD Rodriguez is off in the Audis.
And
right
there he is, right there. He's if we didn't know that where he was, now we do. The 15 gets it rolling yet again. And Molitor, it was not able to capitalize on Van Handel, who's back up into the podium now. And we're only 10 minutes into this race. Look at this mess of Audis that he's got to overtake, though.
Absolutely. Lots of Audis getting run into the back of. Isaac Snyder just got pushed off by Jorge Gonzaga. We got Niels Van Handel trying to make his way past Ian Haycox, who's currently in a battle with Arturas Kundelis. Tons of action going on track. Tons of Nissans trying to take as much as they can from the Audis. It's going to get spicy here for the roller coaster.
And Van Handel's going to be able to sneak in. Does he try to take over another? No, he's going to slip in behind Del Olmo. Before this it was actually looking very good for Van Handel. He was catching up to Grau and Sentes Galindo as he almost side swipes Del Olmo that time. Van Handel makes it past. And now he's trying to run away from Molitor once again.
Yeah, absolutely. So Van Handel trying to take as much as he can there, but here comes Molitor. Van Handel's nose has significant damage on it, and Brian Molitor has significant overspeed on Van Handel on the straightaways, but Molitor's not as good on the corner exits as Van Handel, so that damage from Van Handel might be costing him some significant positions.
I mean, it's no surprise. Remember, it was Niels that ran into the side of Fry there a little bit earlier, so he's probably dealing with the repercussions of that. As we check in now with him coming up through the climbing S's. This is where you do not want to catch these Audis, and he's got about 3 or 4 of them here.
Absolutely, catching them through the sweeping left-hander. This is Billy Rolla currently in 4th position. All the Audis just trying to survive the Nissan purge right now. Oh my goodness, almost contact between Humphrey and Rolla as Van Handel has to go to the inside of Humphrey. Sorry, rather that was Brian Molitor who almost made contact with Billy Rolla. But now the straight line speed disadvantage from Niels Van Handel. He has to block Aaron Humphrey, currently a lap back marker in 20th position. Here comes Molitor. He's going to make 3 wide.
He gets up to the inside. It's not over yet, though. Niels Van Handel trying to come back at him. They touch lightly, but they get away with it. Tixier was the third party in all of that in the white and yellow Audi, but he manages to keep from becoming an innocent victim. And yeah, Van Handel, I don't think he was trying to block. I think he was trying to get the slipstream and couldn't get over it because there was Humphrey and there was no more track. So Molitor gets ahead. It's going to be tough in a straight line for that number 2 machine because he is hurting when it comes to speed.
It's just such a tight track to try and make passes with the overspeed that the Nissans have on the Audis. And then the Audis need as much of the track as they can get. Here we go again, side by side he was. Ian Haycock's now in. Look at him in this gigantic melee right now.
Yeah, just behind the car of Seamus Power, spitting fire at his windscreen. And then that's Django Val just in front of him. He's going to get interrupted. He leaves space at the apex for Jorge Gonzaga. And let's see. Oh, man, tires locking up all over the place here. This is frantic. Look at how much he is having to work the wheel in this thing, too.
Absolutely. Ian Haycock's trying to just keep his place on track so that he gets respected. He's got Jorge Gonzaga and Andrew Mitty. Mitty trying to look for a way around Gonzaga as they both go by Ian Haycock's. It's a complete traffic jam up ahead of him, too. Ian Haycock's kind of at the back of a gigantic pack of Nissans and Audis who are heading into Oak Tree.
And so far, they've been dealing with it well. Gonzaga and Mitty haven't tripped anybody up. They've been keeping pace. And something has allowed Tixier ahead of Rolla. When did this happen?
So Rolla is still trying to recover. I believe he was in 4th position last we checked. So Rolla catching up to the back of Tixier. Lindbergh's the one who's fallen off the pace a little bit. Tixier has been able to hang on to the 2nd position because of all of the interference from the GTPs. They've now got Noel Lindbergh behind them, Brendan Lim, Jack David Spickett, Hamilton, Barrera Ruiz, and Jason Clapper, the next Nissans to get to them. And they're going to get to them they're going to get to them very quickly. Look at that chaos behind him.
Oh, but this is not good for Tixier because they're going to catch him right at the entry to the corner. He's going to have to go shallow, but so does Ruola. So they're both affected. Most of them trying to go the long way around using the downforce of those prototypes, but now they got to take the inside line away from them, including Tixier just leaving enough space there for Seamus Power. Somehow they did not wreck. That was a very late move.
The 5-way fight for 6th position in the GTPs goes streaking by, leaving these 3 drivers, Tixier, Ruola, and Lindbergh, to battle for 2nd in the GTOs.
Tixier, a champion over in the Grand Prix Legends series, so he knows how to wield old school machinery, but it's still a bit of an adaptation to come over here and have to try and work your way into how the cars work with one another and figure out the chemistry between them. So far, so good, at least in this race. Still holding off a car as fast as Rolla as he gets into the back of Gonzaga.
Now this is going to allow an opportunity for Rolla. Rolla's going to try and make his way past Tixier here on the run up to Roller Coaster. Tixier squeezing Rolla a little bit until he decides to back out of it, not pressure these 2 Audis that are duking it out. Rolla's going to have to send it deep here into Roller Coaster if he wants the position. He does so. Tixier gives him the room.
Until he's one of our onboard cams today in that number 32. as he waits behind them. Has to pretty much down through here. Not many places that you can try and overtake. And it looks like he is going to get that clear air finally, although he has to slalom through the cars as they take opposite lines.
Absolutely. So that allows Intilli to be free and clear. He was right on the back of Andrew Mitty when they came back through Oak Tree, and now he's about 4 seconds behind. So Intilli has some work cut out for him to catch back up to the 12th place driver of Mitty.
So we now check in with Tixier, still putting the pressure on Ruola. And we couldn't see it from the onboard, but behind him, I did see Alvarez nearly make contact back there in the 29. He's got to focus forward, though, here. He cannot get distracted by that GTP trying to come through and looking to have to barely save it coming out of the snake.
Absolutely, and now Tixie is going to have to hold off. Yeah, Tixie not very happy on the radio right there. Looks like Niels Van Handel's lost another position back to 5th position in the GTPs, but Tixie, all these Audis, oh, he's off! He's gone off, he missed the corner. I think he was looking at his rearview mirror a little bit too long.
Noel Lundberg takes 3rd away from him, but he's still close enough. I think he could be back in this fight. We're only halfway through the race. And other than the lead, the podium positions have been swapping back and forth in this one. Leskala is 8 seconds up the road. He is gone.
We're battle for 3rd position in the GTPs between Molitor and Jungbluth. Jungbluth with a head of steam on Molitor through turn 1, unable to do anything through the long right-hander. Now they sweep back towards the front of the pack as Lundberg is trying to hang on to that 3rd position at this point in the Audis, trying to make that work as he has hard charging Sebastian Tixie right behind him.
Get back to the front stretch. They go while we check in for the battle for 3rd in the prototypes that you mentioned. Molitor over Jungbluth. Jungbluth, one of those drivers that has steadily made progress, picking up pace quicker and quicker over the seasons. And this is a guy that's gone from usually a mid-pack, maybe a little bit farther down than that, to we're in top split, and he's running in 4th right now. He has arrived.
Absolutely. I was happy to see Molitor on the list for this race. He's got a little bit of damage himself, so Jungbluth able to streak by fairly easily past Molitor. Remember, Molitor was able to do the same thing to Van Handel that Jungbluth just did to Molitor, so just the varying levels of damage that some of these GTPs are carrying. Jungbluth up to 3rd position, but he's got 18 and a half seconds to Grau and Galindo, the teammates who are 1st and 2nd.
As they come down the front stretch, they spread apart far enough that they are not going to be able to get in each other's way this time. Thought I saw Andrew Mitty off on the back stretch. That's a bit of a strange place. Not sure how he did that, but we check in with Heitor Sintez Galindo. Still behind his teammate. Grau doesn't seem intent on giving this one up, at least at this stage. Ooh, that was brave there.
Absolutely. The leaders in the GTPs taking no prisoners with these Audi backmarkers, trying to cut their way through. Heitor Sintez Galindo trying to play rear gunner for Grau, but we got to get back to the battle for 6th position in the GTOs. Andreas Schuster, Arturas Kundelis, Django Val, Javier Del Olmo, JD Rodriguez, Ian Haycox, and Josh Brain all duking it out for this position, all within car lengths of each other.
Yeah, it is very much on in this group. So you've got essentially 6 cars vying for P6 as we see Schuster up at the front ahead of Kundelis. Look down to the inside from Django Val. Can't quite get in there. At the very back of it, Ian Haycock's kind of giving watch, waiting for things to erupt, knowing that he could easily pick up spots if any of these drivers start to duel.
Yeah, the real surprise in this group is Javier Del Olmo. Javier, 2nd position in the championship right now to Hugh Haycox, who's not here. Javier had everything to gain today, but unfortunately, with Hugo Lescala to a nearly 10-second lead over his fiercest competitor, Billy Rolla, and Javier back here in 9th position, that's going to be a big point swing. And I would be surprised if we don't see Yuko take the lead of the GTO championship after this race, should he win, and Javier will fall behind Hugh.
Yeah, I think that's probably a likely scenario as they exit out of South Bend, and Schuster doing everything he can to hold Kundelis down. Oh, big slide though from Vol. Can he keep it out of the barrier? No, he clatters into the tires just at the last moment, and he'll get it going once again. Doesn't look like too much damage on that left front, but that was embarrassing in the midst of that group when one little mistake was going to cost you.
Absolutely. So we go back up to another battle going on. This is between Lindbergh and TXCA. Lindbergh trying to make his way towards TXCA after TXCA lost that position to Villirola, who streaked up the road to 3 seconds over Lindbergh.
So they come back down the hill and complete yet another lap. Sam Karasala in the number 17 had an interesting incident. I think it was with Isaac Snyder about the same time that we had the problem there for Vol up into Oak Tree, and they both got away with it. In the meantime, Daniel Repetto has and somebody else with him. Who is that?
It's James Carr, who's off as well. So those two Audis. Oh, that's a bad place to park the car, Repetto.
Yeah, and looks like Carr is going to take a tow. Here's the replay of the incident. So this is Repetto here on screen, and that's Carr. Is this going to be a case of Carr losing control on the way in? He's way far ahead. Or is Repetto going to lose control? He outbraked himself.
Target fixation, Joe. It's really easy to happen. You get terrified of something ahead of you, and you actually end up steering right into it. We see it happen in professional racing as well. It's quite a common thing. Something that NASCAR drivers, because of the amount of wrecks that they deal with at high speeds, they train to avoid that kind of response.
Seamus Power, though, in the 8 is, or in the 21 is in 8th, sitting in between Jack David Spickett and Jason Clapper currently. Jack David Spickett on a nice recovery drive here. Try and come through. He's up 2 positions from where he started. Power just giving watch behind him. They've also got Aaron Humphrey, but he's a lap down in that green machine just in front of them. They're going to catch Sam Karasala, who I mentioned a little bit earlier, who's just come off of a wreck about a lap and a half ago. Will he be a problem once they hit the roller coaster?
Looks like it's not going to be a problem for Aaron Humphrey, who's ahead. Jack David Spickett makes it by, but Seamus Power is going to have to stay behind, so he's going to lose that 2 to 3 seconds I talked about and be in the grasp of Jason Clapper, who's right in his rearview mirror.
Oof, nice move down to the inside, just finding enough space there between the roller coaster and Hogpin to sneak past. But Jason Clapper, you could see in the background in the black number 31, was the one that was caught out in the end, and he loses almost 2 seconds up to Power because of it. So it's a saying that we pull out a lot, especially here in Camel. Traffic giveth, traffic taketh.
Absolutely. A lot of apologies being said over the radio over the last 5 minutes. Just quite a few little incidents going on. Here's the battle for 3rd position that we have been looking at in the GTOs, flanked behind them by our leaders in the GTPs. This is Sebastian Tixey, Noah Lundberg, and Obe Trangrade. Right behind them is Karen Grau and can get by on the straight.
Yeah, that's the battle for the lead and the prototypes right there. And Sintes Galindo was being very, very patient. So this is starting to make me wonder if there is a little bit of team orders here. If now Aitor is just going to let his teammate hold on to the top spot. They've got 15 seconds over Jungbluth. So they've got space to fight out here if they really wanted to.
Absolutely. And I think they're going to keep working together until it comes to the last lap. I would guess that the last lap the gloves come off and the 2 guys try and duke it out for the win, so long as they don't cost each other the win. But up until that point, this race, VIR,
here it is.
With how tight it is, it's all about survival. But here comes Aitor. He sees an opportunity, and he's going to go for it here. Around the outside, not a huge commitment there from Aitor, but a nice move.
I think he overshot the corner a little bit there. So that, I think maybe I was wrong. Maybe he is actually trying to fight him for the lead here, and that was just the first good solid opportunity that he had to try at it, as Villirola in front of them, blocking them up, unfortunately. And they're going to have to wait until they get past the snake, where they can use that extra bit of horsepower underneath and scream by.
I mean, I've seen Aitor have other opportunities, but that was the first safe opportunity he had to challenge. And especially when you're working together with a teammate, especially because Grau has not had a lot of wins here in this series, I believe that this is you don't want to. The last thing you want to do is wreck your teammate when he's in position for a fairly handy win.
Checking on Farron Grau, he has not had a win yet. This would be his first.
You definitely don't want to wreck him out.
He's had 28 attempts, and this would be number 29. And this is wow! Look at them zipper into there, as Fabian Jungbluth is going to be able to sneak by and down the back stretch. Is this going to be an opportunity?
That was contact from Van Handel on Andreas Schuster as they were coming out of Oak Tree. So a little bit of disagreement there. Here comes Jungbluth on Van Handel, and Van Handel, that straight line speed deficit really hurting him. He's got downforce in other places, almost gets into the back of Jungbluth. Jungbluth able to pull away.
And now they've got Molitor with them as well, so it's a three-way fight between them. Coming back onto the main stretch, that is the car of Pekavicius. This is going to stay out of the way. Coming down to the last quarter of this race. This is the second longest straightaway on the track, and poor Van Handel just about loses out to Molitor before he can cover him off into the horseshoe.
Barely contained chaos is the order of the day for Kamel. Always has been and always will be for these drivers. Looks like Javier Delomos off in Oak Tree. He's just now getting back on. Fortunately, didn't hit anything, but this was actually a self-imposed spin to keep himself from running into the back of Arturas Kundelis. So some sportsmanship for Javier Delomo cost him a lot of positions.
That was into turn one, actually, there that happened. Big braking zone. Tough to get right. As we were watching Grau, again, he was right on top of Sintes Galindo. So, yeah, I think what it is what you were saying. He's waiting for really safe chances.
And that battle for P3 and the GTPs absolutely cracking off right now as they're going through the battle for P3 and the GTOs, and a little bit of contact between Brian Moltar and Fabian Jungbluth gets them together. So, here comes Jack David Spickett in 8th position trying to make moves on Seamus Power, who's just ahead of him in 7th, with Jason Clapper looking on in 9th.
Yeah, just about had the spot briefly, but then Power had the better exit off the corner. That kept him safe. If we could get a replay in Jungbluth's and Molitor's contact, that could have been so bad, and yet they got away with it because he just about turned the number 11.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jack David Spickett just hanging on to those positions right now, trying to cling to the back of Seamus Power, trying to get that move done as they sneak their way down the hill towards start-finish straight once again. To the inside of the Audi they go. And look at this move from Jack David Spickett. He's going to try and go on the outside here of the 21 of Seamus Power.
Looks like we've now lost Jamie Hamill-Smith as Gonzaga unfortunately came together with him through the climbing S's, and it seems there's a little bit of consternation between the drivers side by side now for the prototypes as they head through NASCAR Bend. That is very tough to do. Jack David Spickett managing to hold off the 31, at least for now, but for how long? Brendan Lim Jason Clapper is eager to get this one.
Yeah, Clapper, Jack David Spickett showing Clapper the curb and nothing else, giving him just enough room to keep his tires on something paved, but not much more. Clapper able to hang on to it, but I don't think that Clapper's going to be as nice to him on the attempted move next time.
Sounds like a few drivers losing a little bit of patience there. Ian Haycox, I think, had a hello from Hamilton Ruiz. Unfortunately, they both get away with it and carry on as we watch the 15 of Rodriguez here, currently fighting with Arturas Kundelis behind him and Schuster in front of him. They have to allow by the car of Ruiz that I mentioned a little bit earlier. Late block there coming. Oh, and they're going to come together. All three of them are sent off the course. I don't think they're going to be able to make it. Rodriguez with a huge hit into the wall. And unfortunately, it's going to collect, I think, Kundelis as well, who looked like he may have been able to sneak through it all, but just gets tipped at the end.
Yeah, and this was just a misread from Andreas Schuster, who didn't know where Linus Pekavicius was. This was just a misread entirely. Rather by JD Rodriguez, who poked his nose out to try and make the move. And right where he was poking his nose out is where, is where Pekavicius was.
There he is. And what's worse is he had the momentum, so he gets into the back of Schuster. They're all going at top speed. They're about 150 miles an hour, so they can't get slowed down by the time they get to those barriers.
Absolutely. A little bit of contact between Doug Cloud and Django Vol as well. Cloud sends Vol around there, so... Man, the gloves are coming off. The frustration's coming out, Joe.
You know who this helped, though? Ian Haycox drove by every single one of them and is now in 6th.
There he is, Ian Haycox, all on his lonesome, 12 seconds behind Noel Lundberg and 2 seconds ahead of Javier Del Olmo. And there's a nice side-by-side battle between Molitor and Krejcik that sends Molitor off track. So, my goodness, just a lot of contact here as people are starting to get tired, I think.
Yeah, late in the race, tempers are flaring. Patience has run thin. And Molitor is going to get back on just before Seamus Power is able to overtake him, as we're still watching Ian Haycox here in that 6th position. Oh, Jungblut just got by Van Handel, too. Van Handel was off at turn 1.
There was contact between Van Handel and Jungblut. So a lot of contact between our competitors right now who are battling for position.
Well, I know this is NASCAR country here in Virginia, but apparently the elbows are out at this track. And some have really worn completely thin and just have nothing left to give as Seamus Power tries to chase on Molitor, knowing that he's just had that off. He could be dealing with a little bit of damage potentially. Behind them, don't need to go to it, but Jack David Spickett was into the wall before left hook for some reason. I'll try and investigate that in a little bit, but we watch as Ove Trangrade is trying to catch up to Sebastian Tixier. These two have raced against each other in the 49s countless times.
And now they're here in Camel. This is Trangrade's turf, and he's going to want to take that position for Tixier. It's one thing to know how to race, to know how to race vintage vehicles. It's another thing to do so in multiclass. Tixier has visited Camel quite a few times, but Ove Trangrade is going to want to prove something today to Tixier.
No doubt, especially since he didn't get to do so well a little bit earlier in the Grand Prix Legends at Phoenix Oval, of all places. And Ove had a bit of a difficult one out there, although Tixier himself didn't fare all that well on the oval circuit, only winding up in, I think it was 8th position for that race. Catching up, It's a big slipstream, but Jack David Spickett kind of in the way.
Something that's worth mentioning is Ferengrau has lost the lead to Aitor Sintes Galindo to the tune of 6 seconds. So that first win, that maiden win that Grau's looking for, unless Aitor Sintes Galindo befalls the same troubles that has caused Grau to fall back so far, it's not going to be major.
I'm trying to see where it was. It was many laps ago, apparently. I wonder if there was something with traffic that sent him off, or if he just had a straight-up pass, was able to outgun him. I'm checking to see. I think I'm finally getting up to it because he's caught. It was a simple pass down the backstretch. It was on lap 18 when he got it. So, guess once Sintes Galindo had a clean run through, that was it. Game over.
Unfortunately, as we continue to watch the battle between Tixier and Trangrade, Trangrade right on the back of Tixier at this point, as a heavy cloud cover has come over the early sections of the track. This could affect the track temperature, which has risen to about 79 degrees Fahrenheit, 26 Celsius at the moment. So not that high for these drivers, still plenty of grip to be had. But that shade at the start-finish line might start to bring this track temperature down a touch.
Absolutely. We've been hearing more and more rumblings as well about rain potentially coming down the line. Not in this build, it sounds like, but they said late 2023 that they are on course for that. So fingers crossed. Everybody's... gosh, imagine this series.
Oh, man. This would be something special. Let's take a look, though. Over Trangrade, he's made the move. He's taking a look at Tixier. He's got on the outside here, a roller coaster. Not an easy place to keep the pass, but he's got a nose. Tixier tries to cut it off and pays the price.
There was a big net code in that, but great job by Tixier. Just kept his foot in it, used the four-wheel drive, and powered out of it, and is going to try again later. Yeah, they were not even close to touching one another when that contact was made. So they're still at it, and he's gaining big time. Trangarade looking a little slow in a straight line here. I wonder if it damaged the drive on the car.
It's too deep for Trangarade. He takes it too deep into turn one. Noah Lundberg now has joined this battle because of the way the two have gotten together. Trangarade has to regather and try and make this pass again on Tixier.
Rolla is about 8 seconds up the road from him as well. He's kind of skittered off and wants to claim a nice, easy second place up there, while Leskala hoping to try and claim himself another win and get himself into the championship hunt here for the GTOs. Big slide there for Ove. They're coming off of the snake, and behind them, Lundberg giving watch. If he has another one of those, no doubt Noel will try to get involved.
I think Noel's going to try and make a move here on the back straightaway. He's going to have the double draft from Tixier and Trangarade. If he can get a good exit here from Oak Tree, he's got a real good shot at taking over third position from these two guys who are duking it out. Ove Trangarade gets held up a little bit, but Lundberg unfortunately jumps the curb with the right tires just a little bit. But that's going to be enough to keep those two ahead of him.
This is going to be close as to whether they'll get an extra lap or not, too, because Sintez Galindo just came onto the backstretch himself, so he's catching up enough.
Ove Trangrade's going to do it again. He's way off track this time around, but he's going to try and hang it around the outside. Tixie is going to give him a lot more room this time, but carry more speed. It's side by side through the roller coaster section of the track, down through the left-hander. It's going to switch over to a right-hander. This is going to be benefit to Tixie as the banking evens out and allows him to streak ahead, but now he's got a bad run off the corner. Ove Trangrade to the outside. This right-hand kink may not look like much to most cars, but it's a challenge to the Audis for them to hang on to the grip. Ove Trangrade does it. He's going to try and make the move around the outside. Late braking for both of them.
This is fantastic racing, and I believe this is going to be the last lap for them because Sintez Galindo just crossed behind them. He should be able to catch them up. It's side by side now instead between Trangrade and Noel, but it looks like he'll be able to fend him off. What a defense from Tixier there against one of the hardest attacking drivers we've seen in the Vintage Series.
Absolutely. Ove Trangrade doing a great job of duking it up. He's caught the left tires off the track. That's going to allow Lundberg to go by. And right at this moment is when our leader, Aitor Sintez Galindo, is coming up behind him.
Indeed, he is absolutely going to catch Ove Trangarade. Should be able to overtake the rest of them, at least on the back stretch. He'll get by one just between the S's and through South Bend, and Trangarade goes completely off, unfortunately. He'll get it back onto the circuit without spinning across the course, but that loses him touch with this battle for sure now.
Our leader, Aitor Sintez Galindo, in a really good position right now. Just has to follow Scott Lear to the finish unless Lear's willing to give him the position into roller coaster. Let's see whether Lear breaks early. He does not. Sintez Galindo says that's fine. I don't have any challenge behind. He's going to hang out behind Lear and coast his way to the finish line.
He's already got 2 championships to his name. Today, it's going to be an 8th win for Aitor Sintez Galindo, who has certainly been another driver that has shown himself to be a great improvement over his first attempts. Aitor Sintez Galindo wins at VIR.
And it's a good battle between Javier Del Olmo and Ian Haycox as they are finishing off their last lap as well, just coming onto the start-finish straight. Javier Del Olmo able to make the pass on Haycox into roller coaster. He's going to take away 6th position from Haycox.
So Del Olmo able to make up something there, but not the results he was looking for. Tixier gets a well-earned podium. I think he should be proud of that one for sure here in this race. Farron Grau will wind up in 2nd with Jungbluth in 3rd in the prototypes. For Leskala and Rolla, they've got a whole lap around to finish up.
Absolutely. So Leskala now onto the back straight. He's got 13 seconds over Rolla, so looks like he's coasting it a tiny bit, possibly a little low on fuel, but he's got plenty of room to ease this thing into the start-finish line. He does have a car tucked in behind him, a GTP.
I think that's Carlos Fonseca back there. He's running 14th in the prototypes. He'll manage to finish on the lead lap just barely here as he crosses and hopefully he finishes as he dips his wheels into the dirt coming down through the roller coaster. But Leskala off of Hogpen is going to get another win to his name here at Virginia International Raceway. We're going to take a quick break, though. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around. Welcome back to VIR. Round 6 in the Kamel GT Series sees Aitor Sintez Galindo take another win out there, with Farron Grau finishing behind him. And Farron was doing a good job holding him back for some time, but the two teammates, even though they didn't want to fight a risky fight, once Aitor got a decent run, that was it. He basically gapped him by 7 seconds in the end. Fabian Jungbluth gets another valuable podium to his name, as Niels van Handel, who took the pole, just couldn't stay out of trouble. It's hard to do in this series. He finished 4th. Martin Krejcik was P5, up 7 spots. Seamus Power finished 6th. And then Jason Clapper gained 11 positions to finish 7th. Brendan Lim was P8 as Eric Intilli finished 9th, and Hamilton Ruiz rounds out your top 10. Brian Molitor was in some good battles there in the middle of the race, but then kind of got edged off track. He wound up 11th. Jack David Spickett was 12th, and Andrew Mitty 13th. Carlos Fonseca finished P14 ahead of Scott Lear in 15th, and Gonzaga, our last driver on the lead lap, there in 16th. It was a DNF, unfortunately, for Alvarez, Suarez, Humphrey, and Fry.
We've got our GTOs with Yuka Luskala taking a handy win over Villy Rolla, who had an amazing recovery drive from 6th position all the way back up to 2nd, and plus about 8 seconds over Sebastian Tixier. Tixier takes 3rd over Lundberg and Trengrade. Trengrade sliding off track there in the last laps, falling to Lundberg in the end. Javier Del Olmo able to claw his way back up to 6th position after a really troublesome race for him. Ian Haycock's falling back to 7th after a last lap incident with Django Val. Doug Cloud finishes in 9th with Dan Fresh in 10th position. Joram Van Hixie finishes in 11th with Sam Karasala in 12th. Josh Brain in 13th position. And we've got Isaac Snyder, who is the first of your well, he finished, but way back, unfortunately, about 4 laps behind Josh Brain, with Daniel Repetto, Andreas Schuster, Arturas Kundalis, JD Rodriguez, and Jamie Hamill-Smith also struggling. And then our 2 DNFs are James Carr and Linus Petvicius.
That takes us to our winner in the prototypes, Aitor Sintez Galindo, adding to his tally of wins and extending his points lead. Aitor, looked like you and Farron were close for some time, but it also seemed as though you two were trying to make sure that you didn't have a battle that loses you both the win. Was it just kind of waiting for that safe move before you made the overtake?
Yes, that's correct. I was actually let's not say cruising, but yeah, I was like waiting for the laps to come and do laps and everything and finish. I was already happy with being behind Ferran, but he had the problem with that Audi with the midship. I feel gutted for him because he's been trying all this time to take a win, and it was like so unlucky again. But well, this racing, very happy with this P1, of course. 1-2 for Push Road Racing. Very good day today.
You've got more than a win's worth of points ahead of the next nearest driver in the championship. So, with nobody seeming really to step up to challenge you, I mean, what's your biggest concern for the rest of the season? It seems like the pace is good, the consistency, you're staying out of trouble in the races. What are the things that you're watching out for most?
Well, you have a point. I actually my first concern right now is next week, because I'm actually missing it. So that will be 0 automatically. It will be a drop week regardless, but still there will be less of a gap for the following week. Right now, I think the only yeah, you're right. It's like this championship is so much in favor right now. It's like a lots of points, consistency right now. I think I didn't have any problems so far. Let's not gonna move, of course, but yeah. I won't say anything about the championship because I stay focused on finishing the races and everything. Let's look at the standings later. But yeah, so far my biggest concern is not to make any mistakes, not hunting any Audi or sort of thing. And yeah, finish races and good wins and podiums and whatever comes.
Well, if you're going to miss Interlagos, the next one for you hopefully should be Road Atlanta. Are you looking forward to that place?
Oof, another sketchy one. We come from VIR to Atlanta. Man, I love the US road tracks. I absolutely love that track as well. Very tight with the traffic as well. Gonna be sketchy again. Hopefully has enough split, get 35 or so cars. But yeah, actually still looking for Road Atlanta. Love the track.
Well, best of luck there. And again, congratulations on another win.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks, Joe, everybody. See you on Road Atlanta.
That was Heitor Sintes Galindo, your victor here today. And the prototypes, third place down in the GTOs was Sebastian Tixier.
Yeah, Sebastian, when it comes to broadcast races, aside from the Road America 500, this one turned out better than the last one you did, which was a DNF. How did it feel out there racing this really challenging track with this crazy multi-class series?
Yeah, it's my second race in the GTO. Last race it was Nürburgring. I don't think I DNF. I didn't finish well, but yeah, VIR is a track I really like, even in the Lotus. And I got lucky, I think, with the guys making mistakes and with the traffic. So yeah, happy to get a podium.
Another question we definitely wanted to ask you is, why didn't you turn your webcam back on? We love what you had for the 49s this morning.
Yeah, but the other one was a theme about, overall stuff, America stuff. It's different.
Absolutely. And next week we head to another RA, Road Atlanta, in the Camel series. Are you planning on joining us there? And if so, are you going to drive the GT or the GTP?
Because in the interview with Sandre, I think you said Interlagos. Is it Interlagos or Atlanta?
Oh, no, you're right. It's Interlagos. You're right. Yes.
Either way, I will not drive on those tracks. For me, the race starts at 1 a.m. With warm up and stuff, and so right now it's 2 a.m. with the adrenaline, and I will not be able to sleep until 5 a.m. So I'm just going to join only when I really, really love the track, like Nürburgring, Road America. I couldn't do it because it was the 500. Interlagos, sorry for our Brazilian friend, but I don't like this track at all. And Road Atlanta, I really like it, but I think I don't have enough experience with multiclass, and I think it's going to be frustrating for me. I mean, I'm going to get killed.
Well,
so I will pass.
No, it's something that happens quite frequently at Camel, so we completely understand.
Yeah, I watch the broadcast always. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Sebastian. And is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Oh yeah, thanks for Del Homo for the setup I stole on Garage 61. And thanks for the broadcast as usual. You guys are very always nice to see.
Well, thank you, Sebastian, and congratulations on third place today.
Thank you.
That was Sebastian Tixier, who finished in third in the GTOs. Back to you, Joe.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap us up for the afternoon. So a big thank you to the Camel community for bringing us back for another season of coverage. And also thanks to the team today, Adam, Rob, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, our website, and our merchandise store. And also don't as well, so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. The next race, as we mentioned, Interlagos, will be Saturday, April 29th at 1 p.m. Eastern, but be sure to check out our other broadcasts that we have listed here. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.